More people are joining in. Great. So Ramesh is also here. So I'll start us off. Once again, welcome to Atma webinars as usual. Again, this month and next, we're actually going to be focusing on fundraising, and very practical tips are going to come out from these webinars. And extremely excited for today. So just a brief introduction. Of course, as many of you know, I can see many familiar faces. I'm Vaishali. I'm a lead consultant at Atma. And Atma as an organization has been supporting other NGOs to solve OD, that is organizational development issues, since 2007. And this Atma webinar series we started in 2017 as a platform where speakers can share practical experiences and knowledge that benefit all of us in the sector. And the topics are wide ranging. As you can see, you can find it all in our YouTube channel as well, across HR, finance, fundraising, communications, which we do often. And at the same time, we'll also share a link where it's a database. It's a verified and searchable database that we created called the intermediary database, in collaboration with the Pay What It Takes initiative. So you can find many more persons for other challenges which we often don't find that much help for. And very excited for today. I'm sure all of you have come in reading all the agenda in. So just want to introduce Ramesh before starting. Ramesh is the driving force behind Bal Utsav, which brings life-changing education to children across developing nation, and also he's part of ManyHands, which is Bharat's first full stack consulting center for purpose organizations. He has helped scale outreach and fundraising for nonprofits and social campaigns alike using digital strategy and storytelling to unlock a lot of impact. His digital strategies have powered national level campaigns and reached millions of potential donors across India for over 4 dozen organizations. So, which is why, and I know that most of us have not had that much success with online fundraising. So, when we heard about Ramesh, we really wanted to bring him on board and share his very practical experiences and the attitude and mindset one needs to bring. Right. So, just a request that we will have a dedicated Q&A space towards the end, but do um, share your questions on chat. We will ensure that we can get as many answered today itself. There will also be a feedback form where there is more space for your questions in case you need to ask Ramesh something and we don't cover it today. The आज का सेशन इंग्लिश में ही ज्यादातर रहेगा, क्योंकि ताकि सारे मतलब अक्रॉस इंडिया हम रीच कर पाए। लेकिन आपको अगर कोई भी सवाल या कोई भी क्लैरिफिकेशन हिंदी में चाहिए तो हमारी आत्मा की टीम है। एंड रमेश, आपसे भी रिक्वेस्ट रहेगी कि वेयर पॉसिबल इफ यू कैन मिक्स हिंदी, ग्रेट, अदरवाइज इट्स completely okay. So yeah, with that, over to you, Ramesh.
Namaste, everyone, and thank you, Vaishali, for the wonderful introduction, and thanks to Atma for hosting this. This conversation began in one of those WhatsApp groups um, where there was a discussion about digital fundraising. I shared some of the things that we were doing, and in a few weeks from discussing this in a small WhatsApp group of fundraising professionals, we've now come together to possibly share our learnings that we've had both for the organizations that I'm on board with, and a variety of organizations that we consult, and showcase what is working and what is not working, right? So the way I've kind of structured this out. I was also looking at um, the answers to the questions that were posted by Atma for people who are registering. And from what we are picking up, most of the people seem to be at the stage of either wanting to start digital fundraising or paid digital fundraising, or have just about started and haven't had too much success. So I'm going to keep my focus more so focused on that audience, and not get into extremely specific discussions which are more related to people who've been doing it for a while. But if there are specific questions that you have at the end of the session, I'm happy to take that up and discuss that further on. right? But as we get started, if I can quickly just go through and try and hear a little more about each of you. There are about 35 of us in the group as we begin. If each of you could just unmute yourself, tell me your name, the organization you work with, and interestingly, if you could tell me that if your fundraising strategy was a movie name, what would it be?
Hi, Ramesh.
Namaste.
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 So myself Hemangi Joshi. I am from Mumbai and I represent the organization Unnati Institute for Social and Educational Change, and we work in the education sector.
Lovely. There was one question.
The other question, I missed out that question. Just come again, please, about that.
So I said if your fundraising strategy was a movie title, what would it be?
Oh, let me think about it. I'll message it.
Okay. Because you made the first choice, we are going to excuse you, Hemangi, but the others will have to now spell it out.
Hi, Ramesh.
Hi.
This is Tanvi here.
Namaste, Tanvi.
Namaste. I'm part of the fundraising team at Umeed's Child Development Center. We work with children with developmental disabilities. And the movie name that immediately came to my mind was Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum.
Lovely. Nice.
Thanks.
Very nice. The others not speaking up because we've asked for a movie name and you didn't come prepared for it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Darshan Tamuli. I represent an organization called Northeast Educational Trust. Basically, we are located in Assam, Guwahati. We focus in 2 districts, that is in Kamrup Metro, and the another one is in Punitpur. So our fundraising strategy will be Dil Chahta Hai.
Nice. Very nice. We've had 3 introductions so far. I'm sure there are a lot more people. If you can quickly put the names and introduce yourself, I think we can hit the ground running.
Hi, Ramesh. Prashanti here.
Hi, Prashanti. Namaste.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, some of my
You're doing well
students
as
have
well with
joined
your
in.
team?
Yeah, I think we're all at different locations, but I mean, location in the sense in the same place, but at different places. I think they've all joined in. The girls would have joined in, and so was the boys. So thank you so much for doing this, Ramesh.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I can't think of a movie title as yet. There are so many. Do or Do Paanch. I would like that to happen.
Sure, sure.
But somebody else is Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. Nice. So I'm not going to come on video because my bandwidth is very low.
Sure.
But the team will be there. Okay. So thank you. Talk to you again.
Thank you.
Hi, Ramesh.
Namaste.
Namaste. My name is Bhagwati. And although I am a part of an organization called One Earth Foundation, which works in coastal ecosystem resilience, but now I'm just really exploring myself and getting into palliative care. And, I don't know of a movie name, but then if at all I make a movie, that would be, titled as Hope is a Verb.
Nice. Interesting.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Miss, there are some in chat as well. I don't know if you're able to read.
Sure. No, I've kept that closed because then I'm keeping the focus on the keynote.
Sure, sure. We read out from the chat. There is Jab Tak Hai Jaan, there's Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, and Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar.
Very nice.
These are something that have come. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. So to take a quick deep dive into what we're going to be talking about.
Sorry, Ramesh, I think.
Say that again, Vaishali.
sorry, Ramesh. I think Vaishali lost the connection. She wanted to say that if you could be a little.
Can you hear me now? Vaishali, were you saying something?
Yes. I think I have a lag. Sorry. Yeah, I can hear you, but just maybe a little bit closer to the mic or something, maybe.
Okay. So what we'll do is I'm going to typically split this entire webinar into three portions. The first portion, we will talk about the role of communication in digital fundraising as the first step. The second phase, we will talk about the reason we need to be considering paid ads. And by the third phase of the webinar, we'll actually get into discussing structures, systems, and possibly some tools that we will be working upon, right? Because of the fact that I've looked at the database of people and the answers to the queries that were asked, I'm not going to specifically be promoting any tool or recommending any particular tool. It's going to really depend on what stage of the fundraising you are at. But this will typically give you a skeletal to get started to understand where we are and where we are headed. Right. So for those of us who've been doing fundraising for a while, to quickly give you an example, that there are umpteen number of them, but if I can quickly just talk about fundraising for people who've been here at least for about 2 decades, right? Let's assume anybody here who was also doing some fundraising when, let's say, the tsunami happened in 2004. Anybody at all? Or let's assume we are in 2004, the tsunami has just hit, and we are now trying to raise money for victims who've been affected by the tsunami, right? What would it have typically taken for us to be able to go out, get the message through, come back with resources and make this available, right? At the bare minimum, to be able to send a communication team out there, get some images of what's really going on, put it out in snail mail, which is letters, immediately send it out. Hopefully in about 10-15 days, be able to get the letters out to most people, receive the checks, and perhaps in anything between 2 to 3 weeks, be able to have the first amount of resource or supplies being sent over, right? So the basic turnaround itself could have been anything between 2 to 3 weeks, right? And this is before the era of digital communication and digital fundraising came in, right? Cut that and bring yourself to, let's say, 2015, 11 years later, right? The Nepal earthquake happened. The floods in Chennai and Cuddalore happened, right? And I've been involved both with the 2004 campaign and in the 2015 campaign. And trust me, in less than about 28 to 36 hours from the time the floods hit Chennai and Cuddalore, we were able to move about 3 trucks of material out there for people, right? So I remember the floods hit, or the flash floods hit Chennai on Wednesday night. Thursday morning, we decided to respond to this. We put out an appeal saying this is what we're doing. These are the areas that were affected. And by Saturday morning, we had 3 trucks rolling out from our office headed to Chennai, right? So just giving you a little bit of a context to understand the fact that digital communication has changed, how much of it has changed. And I'm still talking of 2015. A lot of water has flown between 2015 and 2025 for now, right? But even then, the ability for us to be able to, one, communicate, to mobilize resources, and to be able to start delivering services, the transformation has been huge, right? So this is a combination of an understanding and emphasizing the importance of digital, understanding and the importance of social media, and the fact that we are able to raise resources and raise resources quickly, right? Now, I'm not denying the fact that the way you raise resources for a disaster or a humanitarian exercise is different from that of a typical cause that we are otherwise running 365 days. But I was just giving you these 2 examples for us to contrast and see how the role of communication, especially digital communication, has changed in the last 2 decades, right? Before we typically jump specifically into the next secret sauces of communication and digital fundraising, what I wanted to emphasize on is how we perceive digital media, or what we more popularly call as social media. Okay? What we realize is many a times when people are using social media around, there is more focus on the word media, and it is being used as a media or a medium, and there is very little focus on the word social, right? The way we have to understand this itself is it is social media. We have to keep your messaging, your communication social, and do not just keep this like another media channel, right? So that's the difference between going into a classic media model and the social media model, right? Where is the element of being social that needs to be brought in, and is that being necessarily spoken about is the question. So a question that usually that I get answered is asked quite often is, whom should we talk to? Which medium should we be on? Should I have a website? Should I be on Facebook? Should we be on LinkedIn? What we've done is I've typically given about 12 different things you need to keep in mind while you put together a communication plan for your organization, right? And this communication plan is definitely specific for the organization itself, and is even more important when you start talking about it from a digital standpoint, or from a social media standpoint. One is understand your audience. Whom are you trying to talk to, right? What is their typical age? What is the socioeconomic group you're talking to, right? Let's try and understand that. Are we having a compelling nonprofit story, right? Are we using elements of storytelling? Are we using different communication channels and using the power of visuals, right? Is our communication donor-centric, or is it always generic? What I mean by this is, are we using the same format of discussions for somebody who's giving you 1,000 rupees, 100,000 rupees, and a crore, right? Are we using the same format? Are we using WhatsApp as a medium for all of them, right? And is there some sense, or is there a compelling reason for us to rethink or relook at that? The second, or the fourth to sixth mechanism that you need to keep in mind are, what are the key performance indicators that we are measuring upon, right? Are we tracking what we are doing? Are we not tracking, or are we just randomly putting this together, right? While I discuss that, what I wanted to typically also bring in is, a lot of organizations tend to make this mistake, saying we'll communicate when we want to, how we want to, at the frequency we want to, right? And I want to draw upon what I had spoken about a little earlier. The focus on social media, right? So imagine you are standing outside your balcony and speaking whenever you want, and hoping you're going to have an audience. That's not going to be the case. So you come once in 15 days and speak, you come and speak once in 3 days, and almost every time you speak, you're asking for help, right? What's the possibility, one, that you're going to have an audience there, two, that the audience actually wants to come and support you, right? So are we talking, or are we communicating? Are we communicating consistently? And are we communicating what we are doing, or are we always only asking for help, right? Is the key point. So while at it, I want to also re-emphasize how we look at fundraising itself, right? So the overall idea has always been that we are asking for help. We are hoping that there's this one person or a bunch of people who are always sitting with their wallets open, and the minute you ask for money, they're going to go out and give out the money, right? I would encourage that we relook at this overall exercise and emphasize that fundraising isn't a plea, it's a partnership. It's an invitation for others to become co-founders of the future that you're already building. So this is what I'm doing. This is what my organization is doing. And here is an invitation for you to co-found this future or this possibility, right? So I would encourage us to think of this more socially and approach this versus the current format, where a lot of nonprofits, for-purpose organizations are typically only putting out appeals. Hey, somebody is in the hospital, they need money. Somebody has fees to be paid. A parent has met with critical health issue, and therefore the fees is not getting paid. All that is an appeal, right? Where is the social element in using social media? There is a question. I'm not picking any particular organization. This is a trend that we usually see, and I would encourage for you to think of them differently. That said, what should we typically communicate when we are going out and speaking to our audiences, right? Update what you're doing, appreciate people who are already working with you, and encourage them to go out and give or give more. Could be a classic way for you to put it. I've tried to simplify it. You could call this as oversimplification, but typically I would say try and at least have these 3 ingredients to a classic communication plan. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Why is there a need? Appreciate people who are already supporting you, and encourage more people to go out and support, right? While we do this, quickly understand whom are we talking to. Are we talking to existing supporters? Are we talking to prospective supporters? Are we talking to donors? Are we talking to volunteers, right? What is the compelling story that we've got, right? Most of us as an organization and most of the websites are more like a digital brochure, right? Saying, here's what I do. Are we actually talking about the problem statement, right? A problem statement, or trying to solve a problem without a problem statement, or not having the problem statement on your website, on your communication material, is a definite no. You're assuming that somebody already knows about the problem. You're assuming somebody wants to solve the problem. You're assuming they want to solve the problem through you. And then they're coming back and are sitting there with their wallet trying to make the donation. That's not how it typically works, right? And the third component that you want to keep in mind is to integrate elements of storytelling. A lot of us are posting appeals, sometimes with data, sometimes without data, but a classic storytelling and marrying it with fundraising is to use anecdotes, make your appeals emotive, use data, use figures, and give a combination of them, right? What are we doing from a communication strategy to build trust and credibility, right? While you're saying this is what I do, are we also in our communication strategy putting out data which is building trust in what we're doing, right? Which is building credibility of why you as an organization should be trusted to do this. We'll speak about it a little more at length during the session. Identifying the various platforms that you should be communicating with. It's not this or that. Think of your favorite dish, and imagine if you're trying to make that favorite dish, or if you're trying to cook that favorite dish, and then I turn around and say, just give me that one ingredient you want in that favorite dish. Is that going to remain your favorite dish? No. There is going to be an element of salt. There is going to be an element of sweet. There is going to be an element of kata, mita, the works, right? So get your recipe right, get the right ingredients together, and don't work with this minimal viable product saying, you know what, there are 10 platforms. I'm going to concentrate on only one of them. In that one platform, I'll post only 1 month and expect results on digital fundraising. It's not going to work that way, right? Invest in the power of visuals. Is it good quality photography? Is it charts? Is it infographics? Invest in the power of visuals, right? Question yourself and ask yourself, is your content persuasive, right? Is the content donor-centric or is it organization-centric? Another mistake I see a lot of organizations make is the communication is organization-centric. We are a 20-year-old organization. We work in the space of XYZ, right? And here is why you need to donate money, right? Versus trying to change your communication itself into a donor-centric model. Look at donor engagement, look at donor loyalty, identify your key performance indicators to whatever you're doing. If you're using a website, how many website views are you getting? If you're using email, what are your open rates? What are the click-through rates? If you're using a landing page, what are your conversion rates? If you're amplifying your messages, how is that shaping up? Is that giving you engagement? There are some native tools. For example, Facebook and Instagram have their own native tools for you to be able to track and analyze LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube have their own internal analytics or native analytics tools. But if that is not the case, you can also use tools like Rival IQ, Sprout Social, AudiSense to try and understand where you stand, right? And perhaps also see what is also getting done in the industry, both for profit, non-profit, people in the space, people in the same domain, so on and so forth, right? While you're doing this, do also keep in mind that you're maintaining legal and ethical guidelines, right? Do not put out a picture of a child and put out an appeal there, because technically that's illegal, right? The NCPCR has clear guidelines of what you can and what you cannot, for example, right? So also, while you're trying to put together as beneficiary and make a case for support, quickly also see what is legal, what is ethical, and then build your mechanism from there on, right? So that's like a quick gist of a couple of things you need to keep in mind from an overall communication standpoint. This is good for both communication as an organization and when you are trying to build your digital communication strategies, right? I've gone quickly over
folders, but
sorry.
No, continue, Ramesh. I think it was just somebody's. Yeah.
Okay. So so I've already shared this link of the presentation with Vaishali and the team at Atma. They can send this over for you all. This is a quick bunch of things I would recommend as a checklist for you to run through from auditing your own communication strategy, right? So unless we get the communication strategy right, we are going to see very little success with digital fundraising. So that's phase one of what we will all have to look at, right? Now moving to phase two of the webinar, which I said we will try and understand, right? A lot of questions now come in, and what we're trying to understand is, I posted an appeal, I even boosted posts, I made some paid ads, but hey, you know what? I haven't seen conversion, right? What we'll need to understand from a digital communication standpoint are two things. Do you have a pipeline in place to bring money into your organization as a question? It is not a one-off exercise that you ever do and expect results. What do I mean by that? So let's assume you have a 3-bedroom house, right? What you've done is you built a pipeline into the house. There is a water tank, there is a sump, there is an overhead tank, there is a motor, there is a plumbing line completely laid into each of your rooms, into the kitchen, into the toilets. So when you go out and use the place, when you want water, you will be able to get it at an instance, right? Versus carrying a bucket, running to the corner of the road to be able to get a bucket of water and come back, right? The first piece we'll all have to move is to get away from this thought process that, you know what, it's cheaper for me to carry a bucket of water, go to the end of the road, pick up a bucket of water and come back. Yes, it may be more efficient right now, right? Is that scalable? No, it is not, right? If you have 100 people you're serving at your home, is it scalable for you to keep running with a bucket of water every time to the corner of the road to pick up water and come back? No, it is not, right? Is it a more efficient way to have a plumbing line in place into your house? Yes, it is. Does a plumbing line cost money? Yes, it does. Now you will have to take a call on what you understand between efficiency and frugality. If you're saying, I'm not going to invest in a plumbing line, and I think going out and fetching water every time at the end of the road is a more efficient way to do it, God bless that strategy, and I'm not going to debate too much on that. Today's session is for those of them who are open or trying to understand that if you want to have money coming in and you need to have regular money flowing in using digital channels, it is your onus to build a plumbing line into your organization. All right. And to do that, we need to move to our next piece, which is to try and understand the difference between marketing and strategy, right? Our messaging in most organizations is an ask, right? You're fundraising and you're hoping that you go out and do this, which is typically sales. It is almost like it's a wild example, but it's almost like saying, let's say you're standing at the most frequented market in your city. For those of you who are from Bangalore, let's say you're standing on Brigade Road, right? Let's say for those of you in Delhi, you're in Connaught Place, right? What is the chance if you're going to be standing there and to every passerby you're saying, hey, give me money? What is the chance that they're going to give you money? Right? That's exactly what a lot of us are doing on digital media, right? You're standing and asking for money without telling who you are, what is the problem, why should this problem be solved, why should they solve the problem through you, right? And how can they together solve the problem with you and establish a better world? And instead make it very, very specific, bringing it down to saying, give me money. I asked money 3 times in the last 1 month. Nobody gave me. And I believe that digital fundraising does not work. That's exactly like saying I was standing right in the middle of Connaught Place, morning to evening, 3 times last month, and nobody gave me money. If you're going to see success there, and if you see success, it's a fluke. If you see success here, it's a fluke. The question is, do you want to raise money through a fluke mechanism, or do you want to have a strategy? Do you want to have a plumbing system in your organization? And do you want to raise money? Right? So that's a quick piece, right? Now, I also asked this question to most people saying, can you tell me how many steps does your fundraising funnel have, right? And most people came back with the answer of saying we don't have a funnel to maybe 1 step, right? What I wanted to talk about is 2 things here. You could have a much more exhaustive fundraising funnel, but if I gave you a very, very basic funnel, and let's say we put 3 to 4 steps to the funnel, here's what your funnel is going to look like. Stage 1, awareness. Stage 2, consideration. Stage 3, donation. Right? Now, what do I mean by this? Assuming you want to have 1,000 donors giving to your organization. All right, I'm just going to take 1,000 as an example here. If you're going to take 1,000 people who need to donate to you, how many of them need to be considering to give to your organization? Any answers? Any guesses?
At least 50%
1 lakh.
of them.
Say that again, Hemangri.
50% of.
At least 50%, you're saying?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
10,000?
At least 10,000. Great.
There's also,
yeah, Vaishali.
Somebody's also mentioned 1 lakh and then 10,000 in the chat box.
1 lakh and 10,000. Great. So if about 10,000 or 1 lakh people need to be considering to give to you, how many of them need to be aware that you exist? Right? This is a classic funnel, right? I have simplified it. In fact, I've oversimplified it into 4 small pieces, right? Awareness, consideration, donation, and in the last column, I've actually called it upsell or cross-sell. But what I'm talking about, stage 4, are basically the donors you're retaining to yourself, right? Donors who are going to be repeating or going to be recurring donors, people who've given you money before and you want them to give you money all over again. Just give me a moment, please. In reality, this funnel is going to look a lot more complex. It needs to be a lot more complex, but just to conceptually understand it, I've typically built this funnel over. At least what we need to be clear about is that it's not going to be a 1:1 model, right? If I ask one person or one person gets to know me, that one person is going to consider to give to me, and that one person is going to give me money, and that one person is going to come back and give me money year after year. It's not going to be a 1:1:1:1 ratio for sure. The numbers are going to be different, and I'll shed light on this. Hemangri ji, you were quite close to the numbers, and we'll go back and speak about it. Before I jump into the specifics of this, I also want to touch upon another area, which is how much money should I be spending on it, therefore, right? So quickly, just to give you some numbers, and I'm going to quickly go through this. I would like for you to keep 2 formulas in mind when you are working on digital fundraising. What is your return on investment when you're doing fundraising? And two, what is the donor lifetime value, right? I'll go bottom up right now. If you're trying to get somebody to give you 1,000 rupees every month for the next 10 years, right? The average donor lifetime value from that donor is about 1,20,000 rupees, which is 12,000 rupees a year into 10 years, right? A good number you need to be able to spend is anything between 10% to 30% of that amount to acquire that donor, right? You can be more efficient and get them at a smaller price. You will have to sometimes spend a little more money, but a safe range for you to look at and a number that you want to keep in mind is what we call as a donor lifetime value, right? If you can do it at a lesser price, great job, but typically try and keep a 10 to 30% of your donor lifetime value as your cost of acquiring that donor and retaining that donor. Because the moment you pick that donor, you're hoping that that donor is going to be with you at least for 10 years. And that's where you'll have to build the system. And that's where I go back to my earlier question. You need to have the plumbing line in place to be able to both bring that donor in and keep them engaged. The second number that you want to talk about is the ROI or the return on investment on fundraising. So what is the total amount raised? So let's say you've raised about 100,000 rupees or a lakh and you spent 30,000 rupees. So the formula is 1 lakh total amount raised minus total amount spent divided by total amount spent into 100. So if this is the number you're typically talking about, you've raised about a lakh and you spent about 30,000 rupees divided by 30,000, which is the total amount spent into 100, your fundraising ROI is about 233%, right? Which means for every rupee you spent, you've gotten back about 2 rupees 33 paisa, right? So these are two formulas I would like for you to keep in mind while you go out and take a deep dive into digital fundraising, right? Now, why did I put out this number? The question many of us always ask is, hey, is there a cheaper way to do digital fundraising? What is the least expensive way to do fundraising? So I'll tell you this. The second cheapest way to do fundraising is digital fundraising. The first one is to not spend any money at all and hope and pray, right? If you want to go beyond hope and pray and say, hey, I want to raise money, digital-based fundraising is possibly your second most cheapest or most efficient way to raise money, right? And if you understand these numbers, you're better equipped to go out and take this up. Now, going back to the funnel that we spoke about, right? If you've got a very, very strong brand, right? People know you, you've been doing work for some time now, and you have an established track record. Some of the checklists that we spoke about when we did this communication fundraising strategies, right? You're typically in the range of 1:10 ratio, which means for 1,000 donors who need to come on board, you need to at least have 10,000 people, that is 1:10 in the consideration stage, and about 100,000 people in the awareness stage, right? Now, the question is, do you want 1,000 donors a month? Do you want 1,000 donors a year? That's a question I will leave for you to decide. But if that's the number you would like, right? Most of us would like to have these 1,000 at the recurring donor level or at the repeat donor level. So if that's the case, you move this one slide up, and typically if you're doing a good job with stewardship and keeping and engaging your existing donors, the number of repeat donors should be in the range of about 90%, right? Which means if you follow this formula that I put together, for every 1 lakh people who are aware of you, about 10,000 people are ideally considering to do something with you, right? You are possibly getting about 1,000 donations, and about 900 of them will continue to give to you if you do a good stewardship model, right? While this is a classic number, this is far from true. The ideal number for most people who don't have a very strong brand presence is actually a 1:20 ratio, which means if you want to have 1,000 donors, you need to have about 20,000 people in the consideration phase and about 4 lakh people in the awareness phase, right? So going back to your question, do I need paid ads? hell yes, you need paid ads, because there is no way you're going to be reaching out to 100,000 people or 400,000 people at any given point of time without paid ads, right? Now, I'm going to give you some clear numbers for you to look at. So if you're looking at, this is an organization I'm associated with. These are the numbers on Facebook alone for the last 1 year. This is data from 1st August 2024 to 31st July 2025, right? So if you look at it, you realize that we are typically looking at about 1 crore 85 lakh people who have been reached, which is the awareness stage I'm talking about in the last 1 year, right? Quick understanding between awareness and reach, which means at least so many of them have been reached. Are all of them considering to give? No, but just to give you an indication. The second piece I would like for you to look at is, where are you placed in the typical industry that you're operating at, right? How many people, how many likes do you have? And this is just Facebook as an example that I've given you. This is the last 28-day data. This is from 9th July to 5th August when we pulled out this data. Non-profit organizations, if you look at the bottom of the screen, you see typically have about 956 people on their Facebook page, right? So where are you? Are you higher than them? Are you lower than them? Are you at par with them, right? How many follows have you had in the last 1 month, right? Is it similar to what the industry is getting in? Is it any different? And what is the content engagement that you've had, right? Typically in a month, the content engagement is about 1,200 people. Where do you stand, right? And stack yourself up, right? Am I in the bottom 25? Am I in the 50th percentile? Am I in the 75th percentile? Where am I going to be standing? And then compare yourself with other organizations, right? See how many page likes do they have. In the last 1 month, what has changed? Have their page likes gone up? Have they come down? How many times have they published content? How many times have they not published content? And take a quick look at some of them, right? Once you've had a look at some of this, you will now understand where this slide comes from, right? So for all of us who are saying, you know what, I'm posting online 3 times in the last 1 year, I even did paid ads and I didn't get results. Usually there are only 2 things that have happened. 1, we've not been consistent with our communication. 2, we've not been consistent with our ad spends. And 3, we've not thought through this as a funnel, right? Understand this. Now, if you're looking at this funnel, the donation is actually at the middle of the funnel, pointing more towards the bottom of the funnel, right? There's no way you will be able to get people to start putting money on the table the minute they know about you, right? So what I would encourage for each of you sitting through today's session is, please go back and start thinking through yourself through the lens of funnels, right? Do you want this funnel to be a 4-step funnel? I would encourage you to actually have a more complex funnel, but at least to get started, think through your entire fundraising strategy through the lens of these 4 funnels. Now, I've broken down the awareness stage itself into about 5 different phases, right? Stage 1 of the awareness stage. Your donors are unaware of the social problem you're trying to solve, right? They don't even know such a problem exists. Stage 2 is they're aware of the problem, but don't know what the potential solutions are. Traffic, classic example, right? Everybody knows that there's traffic. Everybody knows that you're spending 2 hours, 3 hours on the road, but is there a solution? No. Phase 2 of the awareness stage. 3, they understand the solution, but don't realize that your organization provides it, right? This could be anything from education to healthcare to environment. I know that there's a problem. I know that there is a solution. I'm not sure if you are doing this. You as an organization are doing this. Stage 4, organization aware. I know the solution, but I'm not sure if this is the one that I want to fund, right? Midday meal, classic, right? There are at least a dozen organizations I know are in the space of midday meals. Which one do I want to fund? Not quite sure. Fifth, most aware, which means they want to fund, they just need to know when and where, which is typically where the awareness stage drops off and the consideration phase begins, right? So to quickly put this together around, right? If we are looking at it, you need to start thinking through the lens of at least 3 to 4 steps of a funnel. Understand donation is typically almost at the bottom of the funnel, at best at the middle of the funnel, pointing towards the bottom. Top of the funnel is your awareness stage. How many people are aware about you? Is this through media articles? Is this through digital media? Is it through Instagram, through Facebook, through LinkedIn, through a variety of sources? Therefore, how many of them are going to consider to give to you? And then get into this. Now, trust me, you in this entire scheme of things, what you need to understand is if you want to put together a strong digital fundraising platform, a strong digital fundraising mechanism, the onus of pushing people through these funnels, these stages of the funnel, from awareness to consideration, consideration to donation, in awareness from unaware to problem aware to solution aware to organization aware, and organization to most aware, lies with you, right? When I say you, I'm talking you as an organization. It need not just be with the fundraiser, but this basically means you need to typically start re-looking at the way you're looking at digital fundraising through these different lenses, right? Is this easy? How do we go about with this? This can be done through a variety of ways. This is both something that can be done offline and online. There are a variety of tools that you can do to do this online. Typically, if you want to start doing this online, try and decide what pool size you want to address. If I say I want to have 1,000 donors, now do a multiplication, 1:20, 1:20, and say, you know what, I need to plan for about 4 lakh people at the top of the funnel for me to get 1,000 donations. If you have a very strong brand presence, say I need to have 1 lakh people I'm going to be tracking to enable 1,000 donations coming in. And 1,000, 10,000 and 1 lakh are very, very indicative numbers. I'm not holding you to it. If you say I don't want 1,000 donors, I want only 100 donors, dial it down. If you say I don't want 1,000 donors, I want to move it up, scale it up. This is just a very indicative number for you to think through the lens. This can be done for offline, in an offline fashion also, of getting people to know about you, people getting to consider you and then donate to you. But today, because the session itself is more about digital and digital ads, I could say there are a lot more cost-efficient solutions that can be done for these volumes. And I can't think of an offline mechanism that's going to help you gather 1 lakh people's data to get 10,000 people to consider you and 1,000 people give to your organization, right? So what would be a slightly more evolved fundraising funnel, right? And what we do when we use digital tools is use what we call as lead scoring, right? Lead scoring is what we are talking about in this slide. Poor data, which means I don't know anything about the person, right? To an awareness stage, which means you give them a score based on what they do, right? And keep them in stages 1 to 30, which means if somebody comes and visits my website 3 times, are they aware of me? Yes, they are. Let's give them a score. Let's say we give them a score of 5 points every time they visit your website, so you're adding to the score. They've come to my website and they've gone to the donate page. They are possibly in the consideration stage. They've come to my website, they've read 3 web blogs and gone back, right? Allocate scores. This needs some thinking through, this needs some structure, but this is a classic funnel that you can look at, right? Give scores and move people from one stage of the funnel to another, from awareness stage to consideration stage to decision stage, decision to conversion, conversion to retention, and retention to maintenance or stewardship, right? So I gave you a simple 4-step funnel to start thinking through from that lens. I broke down the awareness stage itself into 5 stages for you to understand that it's not like somebody's just going to slide through the 5 stages. An effort needs to be made to be able to do that. And this is possibly a more evolved fundraising funnel for you to be able to work through, right? Now, why have I put together consideration, decision, and conversion here is because even after somebody's made the decision, let's say the website doesn't have their OTP didn't come on time, right? Their card had expired, right? Their bank timed out on the payment gateway, which means your conversion isn't happening. And what we would try and recommend is for you to think through all of this and then put them into a funnel and then keep moving them from stage to stage on the funnel and expect better success. How do you build these funnels? Very simple, right? What is the trigger? What will be the filter? And what will be the action? Somebody comes and visits my website 3 times in the last 15 days. That's a trigger. If they visit my website 3 days, I'm going to filter this and put them into stage 2, either awareness level 2 or consideration or whatever. When they move to consideration phase, what will I do? Will I show my ad to them? Will I send out an email to them? Will I pick up the phone and call them? These are all permutation combinations. These are all possibilities. But here is an example and a very simple formula which says 3 things that you will do: trigger, filter, action, automated. In numerous tools out there which can do this for you in a fairly simplistic machine learning format for you to take this together, right? So that's a quick gist of the of the 4-step fundraising funnel, the 5 steps of the awareness stage, and a classic lead scoring model that you can use to get about 1,000 donors in place, right? The next question that obviously gets asked, therefore, is how much money should I be spending then, right? I would recommend that you split your total budgets into these 3 categories. Top of the funnel, set aside 60 to 70% of your budget, right? Whatever is the budget and whatever you're comfortable with, right? Set aside 60 to 70% of your budget for top of the funnel. Middle of the funnel, set aside between 20 to 30% of your budget, right? And for bottom of the funnel, set aside 10 to 15% of your budget. This is not written in stone. You want to have a typical leeway of 10 to 15% or 5 to 10% on either side. Go ahead and do this. But this is a good indicative number for you to work on, and about 5 to 10% of your total budget on loyalty campaigns, stewardship, upselling people who've given me 1,000 rupees, can I go and ask them to give 1,500 rupees? People who've given me 100,000 rupees, can I ask them to, or if somebody who's supporting 1 child's scholarship, can I ask them to give for 2 children, the works, right? Keep aside about 5 to 10% of your budgets for that, right? So what do you typically do for each of these people in your in the loop or in your radar, the 1 lakh people or the 4 lakh people that we're talking about? Ask them for money, thank them for the donation they've made or for the action they've taken. It's not always money. If they've spent some time on your website, you can even do a trigger and action there and thank them for having done that. Report what you are doing and repeat it. Keep that going around. The efficient way to do it, and that's why I said there are tools to do this, is you can't handle 100,000 people. I'm sure everybody in this webinar is definitely happy with a sweet spot of about 1,000 donors, right? If you want to have 1,000 donors on your site, you need to be having anywhere between 1 lakh to 4 lakh people at the top of your funnel, right? And if you need to have 1 lakh to 4 lakh people and keep tracking what they're doing, their website usage, their usage on your website, on your social media, in a very multi engagement model, then it cannot be done through pen and paper. You definitely need to use digital tools to do that, because the scale is much higher, right? With that, the last piece I want to talk about is to typically move away from what we call as the problem-focused approach, right? Many times we are screaming the problem out. We are talking about why the problem is a problem. I spoke about the importance of donor-centric communication earlier on. I want to emphasize that The donor wants to be a co-founder in the problem you're solving. So if you are wanting more co-founders to join you in doing this, you will have to change the way we communicate, right? And move from a problem-focused approach to a solution-focused approach. We've given you two examples here. Imagine growing up in a world where opportunities are scarce and denied to you, not because you're not good enough, but because you were born a girl, right? Typically, the way an appeal is written or the website is written, versus in low-income countries, 89% of girls are enrolled in primary school, and educating girls is said to be one of the world's best ever ideas. But boys still outnumber girls in completing primary school enrollment in high school and college. And women in boardrooms remain the minority. With your support, they can complete their education and take their rightful place in the world, right? Just the change of copy, right? Which do you think is going to appeal to a co-founder like donor between the two, right? Think through it. To each of you sitting through the session, before we open up for questions and answers, I just want to tell you that together we can raise money, we can raise lots of money, create social change, advocate a cause, and serve the nation well, right? But it needs a couple of things. We need to move out of this mindset of carrying a bucket of water or running with a pail to the end of the road to get water every time we need water, either for cooking or at the toilet, to putting together a pipeline for digital fundraising in your organization. Is it more expensive than using a bucket? Yes, it is. Is the bucket model scalable? No, it is not. Is that something that your organization can do without? 100% yes. With that, I'm opening this up for questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ramesh. It would be great to hear some questions as well, but there were a few that came in earlier. So I'll just read some of them out and then we can open it up for the rest as well. So Himangi had asked the difference between social media and digital, if there is any. What exactly do you mean by digital communications? That was one question.
We'll go one at a time, Vaishali. If you can just ask the question, I will answer it and then we'll go to the next question.
Yeah. I'm pausing, yes.
So Himangi, we are interchangeably using the word digital media and social media. Digital media could also mean your news websites. It could be your news channels, right? The classic example of social media that I'm talking about here is when you're using Facebook, you're using LinkedIn, you're using Threads, you're using Instagram. That's typically the social media model that we are talking about here. And that's in our control. Or when I say our control, it's in the control of our own organization, right? So rather than saying what is not in our control, social media is in our control. Mostly you can express how you want to express. People are there on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or Twitter, now called X, because they want to be social. They want to try and interact with each other. They're trying to understand what's happening. It's a very peer-to-peer kind of communication. And that's the large difference between the two.
Thank you. Then I think we had Bhagwati who's asked two questions. I think some of it you answered already, but essentially monitoring metrics in an organic communication. What are some of the metrics? And for paid ads, she was mentioning that the cost per click is high, right? In her experience, it has been 600 rupees per click, and the reads are not as relevant. So how do we work on reducing the cost per click? And lastly, is the lead positive for short-term fundraising?
Sure.
Is this kind of lead?
A couple of things, Bhagwati ji. Number one, I'm assuming you've gone out and done the cost per lead, which if you look at it through the lens of the funnel, is it at the top of the funnel or the bottom of the funnel?
Hi.
Yes, Bhagwati ji.
Yeah.
Namaste.
Namaste. So yes, this was an awareness campaign that we launched. So it was a 1-month campaign, and we wanted. So our campaign objective was to basically increase the awareness of the brand, but then so that was the brand campaign objective. But the main post objective was obviously to increase the vanity metrics. That was the objective. But at the end of it, we just wanted more number of people to come and visit our LinkedIn profile, and then increase the follower count. So what happened is that we realized that it was definitely getting into the awareness. But then in a way, if I want to convert the awareness to a consideration, maybe the leads were going pretty haphazard. And the fact that the cost per click almost hit to 600 to 765 almost, we suspended the campaign because obviously spending and burning the money at that point of time did not make sense to us. So I just want to understand that. So I have worked in the B2B marketing space before, but from the social development angle, like you rightly said, the communication have to be, it cannot be like direct communication, what happens in a profitable business, right? So we try to tweak the ads. Maybe we thought that the ads were not working well, so change the content of the ads and all of that. But then we were still burning money. So I was just curious to understand, in such kind of a scenario where I've not yet raised any money, I'm still in the awareness stage. Is it correct to continue, getting the 600 cost per click, or like what else should be the strategy?
So Bhagwati ji, what I would recommend is the stage, from what I understand you are at right now, is I think you're trying to put a pipeline together for your organization.
Yeah, I mean, this was a long ago campaign.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Right? So at the stage of building the pipeline, if you're comparing it with not having a pipeline, it's definitely more expensive. Right? In a very ideal scenario, when you look at this overall scene, you need to plan for between 10 to 30% of your customer lifetime value as the amount of money you're going to be spending, right? I personally, with all the organizations that I work with, suggest that we keep digital ads ongoing 365 days of the year, right? When you do that, your cost is very much optimized, right? Versus doing the typical model of a flash in the pan, right? So I'm saying if you have 100 rupees and you want to spend it in 1 month, I would say spend that 100 rupees over a 365-day window. 100 is just a figurative number I'm giving here, but I'll say set aside a budget and keep that ongoing through the year, because at any given point of time, you want a pipeline in place so that the minute you open the tab, money is flowing in, right? Exactly like the way you would want at, let's say, at home, right? In your kitchen, the minute you're cooking, and you could be cooking at 7 in the morning one day, 9 in the morning one day, we could be using the restroom at 1 in the afternoon one day, maybe 12 in the night at some day. But at any given point of time, when you are there, when you want the water, you need water coming in, right? And for that, we need to establish a pipeline, right? So if we've established a pipeline and you're looking at the overall budget and you plan for about 10 to 30% of this, that should be a comfortable spot. If you're doing ad hoc campaigns or very, very seasonal campaigns, so I would say, yes, there are times of the year when you need to tweak your budget and increase your budget, but that is an exception and not the norm, where you only do campaigns 3 times a year, 3 weeks in a year, 1 month in a year is usually not going to give you the kind of results you need.
Even if we have a consistent organic posting?
Bhagwati ji, truthfully, tell me with the numbers that we've looked at, right? If you're top of the funnel, if you want to have, let's say, 100,000 people, right? What is our organic reach now?
Yeah, I mean, much more than that, 500,000, much more than that.
So if you're top of the funnel, see, typically for most tools, and I'm just going to give you a range, organic reach is an average of 2%.
Okay, reach. Yeah.
Organic reach is about 2%, right? So basically that means that only the 2% of your audience is at the top of the funnel, right? So now break it down from awareness to consideration to donation, and you have an answer there.
So my another question was that, maybe it is platform specific also. So for example, the same campaign on Instagram performed brilliantly for us. We got like all the vanity metrics that we wanted. Whether we got leads in terms of whether it is something that is beneficial for us, because we were looking at CSR leads, CSR heads. So now that is a reach that we thought LinkedIn is a better platform for that. So that's where, so yeah, but thank you. I understood what you said. I had also posted a second question, if I may just ask right now.
Yeah, Bhagwati, maybe we can ask.
Finish the others and come back to you.
Sure.
Yeah. We'll bring it up together. So another question I think Dhaval was asking is, Are you saying that digital fundraising is the second cheapest way of raising retail money or any money? So that was just one question. I think it was on specific thing that you said.
Any money, retail definitely.
Yeah, retail definitely, right? Okay, great. Dhaval, if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah.
Then some. Yeah.
Can I just ask the follow-ups?
Sure.
Okay. So Ramesh, are you saying it's the cheapest form even when you compare to like institutional fundraising, CSR fundraising? Because that generally people believe the other way around. So would love to hear why you think it's yet cheaper than CSR fundraising or institutional fundraising.
So there was two things. If you're talking of an absolute percentage, the overall percentage, when I said 10 to 30% is very, very open around from a CLTV standpoint. But both in terms of awareness, consideration model that we are discussing, especially in retail fundraising, given that the volumes that we're talking about are lesser. Let's say the average size is 1,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees or whatever. Digital, both your Facebook, Instagram campaigns will give you much better results than anything else from that standpoint. That's why I said even for digital.
So then you're saying it's specific to the retail space, not across other verticals, right? Am I understanding
Definitely in the retail space.
Okay.
Definitely in the retail space. See how I recommend that even we look at CSR or other pieces is we take the same approach or the same funnel-based approach into everything, right? So even at a CSR level, if you are not doing the cold leads model and we are doing the actual leads model, right? And you put them through the same 4-step process, net our numbers are in that range. I know 10 to 30 is a very, very large number. The larger the ticket size, the smaller the percentage gets across. But for retail, these definitely work very well. Right? I mean, if it's a 10 crore CSR grant, then we're not talking 10 to 30% of that for sure, right? But if it's, let's say, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 rupee retail donation, then this 10 to 30% DLTV works perfectly fine.
And one more question, if I could. You've talked about saying 10 to 30% of donor lifetime value. As someone who's starting out or is getting into things, how do you even say what is the lifetime value of the donor? Because 10 years are really, I mean, you're getting the new donor, and 10 years is a long time for you to think about in terms of retention, maintenance, and all of that. So how do you even come to this number? Or how does an NGO come to this number?
See, what I encourage is for people to look at recurring giving versus one-time giving per se, because the runway is slightly longer, but once they come on board, the chances of them sticking around and continuing to give is far higher, right? Many a times, one-time giving could just be spontaneous, could just be ad hoc, and the retention rate for one-time giving is not as good as a recurring plan. So with organizations that I work with, I anyway recommend that they focus more on recurring giving as a model, and for recurring giving is what the CLTV works perfectly fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, sorry. I again lost electricity, so pardon me. So the next question was, I mean, I'm just taking another one. So should online fundraising campaigns be complemented by offline events? And there two of them have also asked for examples of successful paid campaigns. If you can share like the details of it. So these are two questions.
So one of the questions that was asked is if the digital fundraising was part of the overall marketing strategy or if it's a standalone. Most of the answers that we received in that questionnaire were that they were standalone. What we encourage is for the two to actually seamlessly talk to one another, right? For offline to talk to online and online to talk to offline. Some of the examples, for most of the people that we work with, we have an NDA, so I can't give specific examples with the name of the organization. But some of the things that we've done, for example, is during one of the runs, we put out a QR code for donations on the back of the T-shirt, and this is in 2014, right? And that page got close to, and this is for one of the bigger runs. That page got about 30,000 hits on that particular day, right? So that's a classic example of blending offline and online, right? QR code on the T-shirts, still quite new, 10, 12 years ago. People were able to snap it, get to the donation page, and take it off. So that's like a quick example for us to be able to look at it. But classic, yes, you need to blend online, offline together to for them to work very well, both as an organizational strategy and as a communication strategy.
Great. Thank you.
Vaishali, you are mute.
Hello.
Should be using an example.
Hello, I have a question here. Could you just talk more about the automation part where you use triggers and filters, preferably using an example?
Are we talking tools, or do you want me to open up that slide again, G? What is it that you would like?
Tools, and also the slide would be helpful as
well. Just a moment. Vaishali ji, I think you may have to either bring it up again or make me the host. I'm trying to present again.
Sure. I will try to do that. But just that I think I have a bit of an unstable connection. Beta, are you here?
I'll start talking while you do this.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. So basically, it's a good idea for you to figure out what is it that you want. So you remember the 4-stage funnel model and the 5-stage awareness campaign that we spoke about, right? Or the 5-stage awareness levels that we spoke about. In your mind, what I would recommend is that you look at when are you going to move a person from, let's say, awareness to consideration, or from unaware to problem aware, right? So for example, if I'm just gonna give me a minute, I'm gonna get my slide in here. So let's say you are trying to move people from the unaware stage to the problem aware stage, right? It could be about 3 articles or blogs on your website which talk about the problem you're solving itself. What is the problem? Why does it matter? And how big is the problem, right? When that is done, and somebody has spent, let's say, if you average out and say, hey, somebody needs to spend 2 minutes per or 3 minutes per blog post, and these are the 3 blog posts that I would like for them to look at. That's a trigger. Then you move them from the unaware stage to the problem aware stage, which means now you believe that the person is aware of the problem, but not the potential solutions. Now you take them through an email campaign or a social media campaign where they understand the problem, but don't understand the potential solutions, and very subtly start talking about how there are solutions to this problem, right? Trigger, filter, action. So this is the trigger. They need to do this within X number of days, Y number of days. And when they do this, here's where I'm going to move them from. I'm going to move them from unaware to problem aware to solution aware to org aware to most aware stage kind of an exercise, right? So this needs some thinking through for sure. You will need to spend a lot more time trying to understand how are we moving people from one stage to another. What will, according to you, if you look at it through a donor's lens, what will convince you to move from stage 1, which is unaware, to problem aware to solution aware, so on and so forth? Does that?
Yeah, thank you so much.
There's one more question by Bhagwati only, is that what is the standard marketing spends recommended? I think you mentioned it a bit. What is the standard marketing spends that is recommended? Okay. And what out of this is for ads?
So when I'm talking of the 10 to 30% model, and usually that's something I recommend for the whole organization as a part of the overall exercise, the numbers really vary. I don't want to put a number and misguide people here. The more specific you make your campaign, the more expensive it gets, right? For example, The costs are different for Facebook, for Instagram, for LinkedIn, for Twitter, so on and so forth. But let's take Facebook as an example just for our discussion, right? So if you just say all people in India, and let's assume, I'm just going to give you an example, right? Let's say your cost is going to be 1 rupee to reach out to them. If you're going to say women in India between the age of 18 to 55, then your cost is possibly going to be 3 rupees, right? These are very, very hypothetical numbers that just indicative for you to understand. If you say women in India 18 to 50 years of age who use an iPhone, right? Now you're possibly talking of, let's say, a 5 rupees now, right? Women in India, this age group, using an iPhone who've gone out and made a purchase in the last 30 days, price is different, right? So it's fairly evolved, it's fairly complex. So I wouldn't necessarily give you a number and say stick to that. I would say work back into your own funnel, right? In your funnel, if you're looking at individual donors, my recommendation is, especially if you're targeting millennials, stick to Twitter and Facebook. If you're targeting Gen Z, spend a little more time between or spread your budgets between Facebook and Instagram. Thank you, Bhagwati.
Great. There are many, little bit more questions. So one is, again, is posting a fundraiser at give.do or Milap part of the digital fundraising? And if yes, how to make the fundraiser more effective? And in the same category of questions, Dr. Atma has shared that they did try paid ads to reach out to more on Facebook, but it didn't work that well. So maybe some common mistakes that people do, perhaps you've already covered that in your presentation, but if you could just mention it again, and in terms of being more effective in general.
So any format you're using, is it your own gateway? Is it a facilitator who's bringing it? Yes, all of them are digital. I don't disagree with that, and I don't see them very differently. Will you be able to move people across the funnel on a third-party tool? Most likely no, but that's something for you to figure out with the third party and try and understand how that works. To your question that I tried a campaign and it didn't work, I mean, it's a very, very classic thing that we hear from many organizations. It's mostly a flash in the pan. I tried it once, it didn't work out. I mean, that's where we were 75 minutes ago. I don't expect that question again after 75 minutes. Because clearly the spend would not have been made through the lens of a funnel. We would not have walked people through, not looking at the top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel. What you are typically encouraging is you're trying to go and hit bottom of the funnel straight up, right? Your cost is going to be fairly high if you're hitting bottom of the funnel straight up, right? Like I said, if you're standing right in the middle of Janpath or Connaught Place and saying, you know what, I'm going to ask people for money and hoping people give money, God bless you if you are actually able to get anything out.
Yeah. There are two questions which are similar, both from Ram and just now Ravi as well. And in general, this is being asked, is that for digital fundraising, can digital fundraising be effective in isolation? I think you've already answered no. I mean, it has to be a complemented thing. So, but at present, and this is, many NGOs are in this stage, right, where there is no dedicated fundraising team in-house or external, no agency support, minimal social media presence, and limited website engagement. So given these constraints, is it practical or sustainable to invest in digital fundraising? I mean, the question over here is to depend entirely. I'm guessing that is a clear no. But you know, when should they start this journey? Is there any?
Raise money?
Yeah.
I mean, truthfully, the question is, like I said, we'll have to look at it through the lens that you're laying out a pipeline, right? If you're doing a classic comparison and saying, you know what, Me walking down to the road, down to the end of the road, picking up a bucket of water and coming back is cheaper. Yes, it is cheaper. I'm not going to deny that. Is that scalable? No. Obviously, that's not working, and that's why you're in the session today.
Yeah.
So there is no right time that's just going to fall upon us from the sky, right? Whenever you want to do this, start building the network. Start small. I'm not saying set aside a big budget. Start with three things. Start with the fact that you have to build a funnel for yourself, right? You have indicative numbers of what you want. So you say, I want to have 100 donors, do a 1:10, 1:20 ratio, go up and build your funnel up, right? I don't have big budgets. Can I still go out and do this offline? Yes, you can. You will spend more money doing this offline than online, right? How in the world are you really going to manage 1 lakh people and see which website did they visit, how much time did they spend on your website, what are they doing on your social media, and then get it into a multi-format engagement model, right? Not going to happen, right? If there is a cheaper way of doing it in an offline fashion without investing in tools, sure, let's try that.
Yeah.
My experience, no.
So even for new organizations, it's worth it. So answering Ravi, I think, yeah, it's worth it to start the journey early enough.
Right? We need to start. I'm not saying put big budgets in, but the formula doesn't change.
Right. Yeah. The fundamental doesn't change.
Yeah, so maybe you don't want 1,000 donors. Maybe you want only 100 donors. So we'll start with 100 donors.
Yeah. Yeah. Great.
And most of the cloud-based platforms that do this are anyway per user platforms. Right?
Yeah.
So if you're saying I want to totally target 100,000 people, you buy a license for 100,000 people. If you say I want to do this only for 5,000 people, you buy a license only for 5,000 people.
But setting that goal and having that clarity is more important, right? Absolutely.
It's pure. So it's both an art and science, right? Unless we get those numbers right, it's not going to help move further on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You have tools where you can just subscribe with 5,000 people to begin with, whom you're tracking at a time.
Yeah. Speaking of tools, I think there was one question on some examples to be shared for tools. Can you share some of the names of the few tools that you were mentioning? Shiv Kumar was asking this.
I don't promote anything, but you've got a whole bunch of them. HubSpot does this, Salesforce does this, Vbout does it. There are quite a few of them, right? And the more the more sophisticated your campaign is, the more expensive it gets.
So it all depends on how much budget you have.
Correct.
The target.
Again, if I give a tool and then you look at the cost of the tool and say, hey, this is not going to work for me, then that's not a great start point, right? There are tools where you can start from even $100 a month. There are tools where you pay $1,000 a month. So it varies.
So Ramesh, Prashanti here had a question.
Yes, Prashanti.
Yeah, so like you know about us, right? We have Each One Educate One, we have Annapurna, we have all of these things. Now, specifically for Each One Educate One, I know that this particular foundation is also working with Digital Marketing Services, who is our social media partner. So me as somebody who is into E1 and concerned about the fundraising that we do, what are some of the questions that I should be asking my digital marketing services to tell me that, okay, this was my ad spend. What are the targets that they have been looking at, and what is the revenue generated from whatever marketing services they have done? So what are some terms, what are technological terms that we need to use to be able to get that data from them? I'm sure it's there, but I don't know. So I want to be better informed.
So Prashanti, one is definitely to try and see if they've even drawn up a funnel for you.
Okay.
Right. Try and see if you can get them to walk you through the funnel. What are the triggers? What are the action points of the funnel? How are people moving from one side of the funnel to the other?
Okay.
Does the overall digital plan have a component of marketing that's leading them into sales or fundraising?
So it's not necessary that everybody has that?
So if you're not doing it, it's a classic example of us again jumping straight into sales without any marketing.
Okay.
right?
So first we have to ask them what's the funnel.
Not having a funnel, I don't think is an available model at all, Prashanti. If
Nowadays.
you're looking at efficiency, right?
Okay.
Many times why we are failing is because we don't have a funnel in place, right? We are hitting the middle or the bottom of the funnel. Like, in a very commercial sense, if you look at it, admissions for a college is bottom of the funnel, right? If you're saying, okay, how many admissions did I get in my college this year, right? That's basically bottom of the funnel for you.
Okay.
Right. What we need to start by is how many of them know about the university, how many of them are considering, how many of them have downloaded the forms in this university, how many of them have filled the form, how many of them have paid the basic fee, and then how many of them have gotten admitted. I mean, that's the funnel structure. Right?
Okay, so then I had another question. So, for example, we did the TCS run, right? So even is always in the TCS, we always participate. So what we've done this year is, all the people who came in through the TCS gateway to pay for E1, what we've done is we've collected all their data. It's about 300, 350, 400 things. We've given it to our students saying, hey, this is this group of people who came in through that particular platform. And let's try and build some engagement strategy with them. Okay. But I think the main thing is obviously linked to the E1 platform, because this is the platform we use for TCS is a derivative of that. So now if my students get into a focused, let me not even say sales program, like just awareness and campaigns and sending them this information, that information, what valuable information can they get from that little 350 people that they are engaging with?
So, Prashanti, I don't know how much, if doing this offline is going to be the most efficient way. If I were you, what I would have tried is I would have put those 350 people into the tool and started a campaign for them, right? I would have built a communication strategy around them saying, like, now, first week, I'm going to communicate about what we do, why we do, what is the problem, and with each action trigger, keep moving them around so that so the TCS happened in April and now we are in August. Typically, say about 10 pieces of communication would have happened between April to now, around with each of them. And then once in a while, nudge them to see whether they want to become a fundraiser, whether they want to fund you, or sign up and perhaps share about your scholarship program.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
It's definitely much cheaper to do it online than offline because you can just track it, right?
Correct.
Are they coming and doing something on your Facebook page? Are they sharing your posts? Are they checking your emails? Are they checking your blogs? You can track all of that and then reverse plan your entire communication based on that. So your offline team can build the strategy. The online tool will execute the strategy for you.
So when you say online tool, should this be like connected to a CRM like a Zoho or something like that, which will give me all this analytics?
Typically a marketing ops tool, Prashanti.
Okay, all right, got you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Ramesh. And I think there is just one last question, which is, it's really great to see that it's being answered by participants as well. Is see, what is like a good checklist for a website to have, any NGO's website for fundraising, right? This Ravi's asking this. And yeah, it's really good to see others also. Please do share. This is a community for us to learn from each other. So while on chat there is some buzz happening, but it would be great to hear from you. And that's the final question we have for you today.
Yeah. Okay, actually, I'm not sure if I'll be able to answer that in a webinar quickly. It's complex. What we would look at is many a times a website is being done by a web developer, right? Who mostly does not understand communication, definitely doesn't understand copy, right? And 100% doesn't understand fundraising, right? So what we have is a 4-page, 5-page website, which is talking about what I do, which I've not seen each of your organization's websites for me to comment on, but more often than not, it's more like a digital brochure. Here's what I do. I was set up in this year. This is my donation page, right? Now, what's the chance that somebody is going to go out and donate just because we have these 3 things? More often than not, no, right? Understand this, your website is typically towards the end of the funnel. People are coming here, you built awareness, you built consideration, now you brought them to your website, right? Is your website really a hook to get them to talk about what the problem is? If you look at those 5 stages of awareness that I walked you through, right? I think including content and lots of content, or at least about 5 blog posts for each of those stages, is a great start point, right? You can cross use them in terms of being able to send them out as emails to people who've already done some work with you, right? People who are unaware of the problem, right? When they come to your website, assuming that there are these 5 categories of people who come to your website, you do an audit and see what is the possibility that they will donate, right? They're unaware of the problem. Are they even going to come to your website? Possibly no. They're unaware of the problem aware, but don't know you are solving the problem. Are they going to come to your website? May not be, right? They're solution aware, but not sure whether you are providing it, right? So I would say if you can even try and build a strategy around these 5 elements and integrate that onto your site, you've got an answer in place.
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much. And it was really quite amazing. And as usual, the audience kept us all engaged right till the end. So we come to an end. And once again, from all of us at Atma, thank you for taking out the time and sharing your experience. Just to let everyone know, we will be sharing, a feedback form has already been shared. Please do fill it out. And also, we'll be sending out the webinar details and the recording itself on email, and for you, and a way for you to connect to Ramesh as well. I'm sure there's a lot more, but do be mindful of his time, and you can email him if that's okay with you, Ramesh. And
Yes, the last slide of the keynote actually has my coordinates.
Great, great. We'll also be sharing it in the email. So yeah, do stay connected. And the next webinar, which will happen this month itself, actually, is also related to how to do donor research. It will be a great, add-on to the webinar done today. So hope to see all of you on 21st August as well. And yes, thanks a lot, Ramesh, and thank you to everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for having me over. Thanks, Atma, for having me over, and have a great weekend, everyone.
Right. Yes, Priya, will do.
Thank you, Atma team.
Hello, could we get the PPT as well?
Yes, yes, you will be getting the PPT and the recording. Yeah. And just by the way, Ramesh, there's a lot of thanks and appreciations coming for you in the chat box.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
I'll have a look at this now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.